This is Father Dominic Holtz coming to you from Rome, Italy, with a word of hope for Thursday of the 25th week in Ordinary Time. If you've been on social media lately, at least my social media feeds, you've been confronted with all sorts of special programs, apps you can get to help you with procrastination. Now, that's a good thing, and being helped with procrastination is probably a help that a lot of us need. One of the things that can cause procrastination is this idea that I can't get started with something until I'm fully ready. And so we'll often tell ourselves that story. I'm just not ready. I need a little more preparation, and then I'll get started. And then we waste our time with all sorts of other things in our lives, some important, some maybe not so important, always putting off that thing that we really want to get done, but keep telling ourselves that we just need a little more time. That's actually the situation of the people of Judah, the people who have just left their exile in the book of the prophet Haggai that we have our first reading from. They've been sent back to Judah and Jerusalem, freed from exile, precisely to rebuild the temple. But now they keep putting it off. They're doing other things, but as the prophet tells them, they're not fulfilled by the other things they're doing. And the one thing they're supposed to do, they keep just saying, we're not ready for it. They're remembering the great temple of old, and they know whatever they do won't measure up to that. And that fear of not measuring up, that fear what they do is not going to be good enough, makes them just hold off and not get started. The irony is, we hear in the gospel that a very wicked person, Herod, is willing to get started. He's wondering who this Jesus of Nazareth is. And he says, well, it can't be John the Baptist. I put him to death. He's not really quite sure it's Elijah come back on his flaming chariot from heaven. But who is it? Herod, strangely enough, gets moving. He gets started. He tries to find out who this Jesus of Nazareth is. Now we know it doesn't really end quite so well for Herod, but it should be a lesson for us. Herod can get himself moving. He can say, I want to pursue this Jesus of Nazareth. I want to get started on that project. We who are believers, who know who Jesus of Nazareth is, we know what he's done for the salvation of the world. We know also what he's already done in our lives. So why are we putting off? Why are we putting off all those projects of our own personal spiritual growth? Why are we putting off those good things that we're committed to, the ways we want to grow in our life with Jesus? Don't put it off. Let's commit ourselves today not to put that off, but to stand with Haggai the prophet and refuse to distract ourselves with those other things, and even with the little that we have, to rebuild that temple in our lives, to make a place again in our hearts for God to dwell, not to compare with what might have been, but to know that wherever God dwells is a glorious place, a God where he will do wonderful things. And that, my brothers and sisters, is a word of hope.